my name is Sophia. I work for a trade union, which is a Kenya Union of Domestic Workers, education institutions, hotels, and hospital workers. We advocate for workers' rights, and especially for workers in the lower cadre. I've been able to engage myself in terms of migration, and especially because majorly migration affects more women than even men. Statistics show that women are more affected in terms of migration, or even they migrate more than men, and especially in East Africa, in our region. And so I believe in gender equality, and I have a lot of interest in terms of gender equality. And so my interest also adds up to the fact that in my trade union, we deal with the domestic workers. And I have been involved in their trainings, in terms of educating them, in terms of solving disputes with domestic workers. And so Send Us Home Kenya is a creation out of something that I had interest before and something that I'm passionate about. So Send Us Home Kenya is something that, and I hope that is going to bridge this gap, because the gap is existing, the challenges these women go through, and migrants, and not just migrants going to study or going to for big jobs, but these lower job considered as lower jobs as domestic workers. And remember that domestic workers are in Kenya, they are very invisible. They're not formal, they're informal, the informal workers, and they're very invisible. So it's very, most of the times it's like a job that is not considered very, of people who are very educated, or people who are, who are contributing a lot, and yet they do the most work. I mean, think about someone guarding your house, protecting your children, and raising your children, and basically making you sober, or making you work wherever you are, actually contributes a lot to. Imagine a mother just living up, your house with someone, economically, you're trying to make someone feel sober in their, in your head when you're going to work and you're leaving your home. So they contribute a lot. Yeah, so I would say that it's a topic that I'm very interested with, both in, basing on my academic background, but also on my professional or career-wise. To engage directly engage with migrant returnees, or even some of those people who are currently working there, but mostly the returnees, the women who have returned. So directly engaging with them, and case management, trying to see what their challenges and their cases are, their story, the experiences, and trying to see how we can help. And that's include now the social cycle, trying to support them through counselors who are also volunteers, trying to see who, according to the challenges, who we can refer to, whether it's a medical, whether they need urgent medical attention, do they have a shelter, how have they been welcomed back home, how is their mental stability, or how they're handling the whole process of of going, and the experiences and coming back. And so basically it's their welfare, trying to see what we can do, and how we can reintegrate them into the community. These women, I would say they have courage, first of all, to go to a different country where we have seen in the media so many challenges happening there, and to go to a very different environment, different culture, different way of life. And so when they get there, according to the experiences and their stories that I've heard, it's not the same as working as domestic workers working here in our country. Their way of life, whether it's the food, whether it's the treatment, whether it's the freedom to do whatever you want to do. They are guided, of course, guided by kafala system, which definitely limits their ways of life. Some of them could say that they cannot even eat, from the same plate. I've heard someone telling me that, they had to eat from the ground, they had to sleep in different rooms, or, just at the living room with a mattress, just a mattress. And yet this person is a person that is washing utensils, washing, cleaning, doing all sorts of things, taking care of the kids. And another thing is that when you're employed in one home, you're also mandated to work in other relatives' homes. So you see the workload becomes even more. So you find that you're overworking so many hours, most of the people, they are more than 17 hours a day. And then again, if they travel, they go to their relatives, you still have to go and work. So there's a lot of overload of work. There's a lot of discrimination in terms of even using the utensils, even using their facilities in the house. So many people have also complained about verbal insults. The verbal abuse. Insults every day. There's no dispute resolution in terms of talking to this person in a mature way or in a human way. I've also heard some of them talking about sexual harassment from either people from the house they're working, or even other third parties, maybe visitors or relatives coming in. Another challenge also has been, not being paid in terms of the wages. So it's very irregular. So you are paid this month. Next time it's really a struggle when you're getting that salary. Or sometimes you work for 3 months. Most of the time they say that the first 3 months they are never paid, which is very wrong. They say that they are told that it's a probation. So they overwork, and they are paid nothing the first 3 months. Then again, even after that, not many of them still provide the wages. So those are some of the problems. Freedom also to get out. You find someone saying that they only get out when they're going to throw away the dustbin, and some are not allowed to go to shop. Some they need their things. They have to send either the driver, or if you are lucky, maybe the person who has employed you will buy for you. So the freedom to have even the phones, the freedom to communicate with your family is still another major problem that these people have been talking about. Like, how do you even live in another country? You have children. I've heard some of them saying that their relatives, their parents have died, their kids have died, and they had no way of communicating. After 3 months, after 2 months, you're calling, and that's the time you're getting the news. It affects their mental, it affects even their productivity. How do you even work with insults and all these mental challenges? Things going around, and you don't have freedom even to call your family. So, lack of leave. The normal human being, you need a leave even if you're working. Even a leave day to just have your time to relax. So those are majorly some of the problems that these people face in working in those Gulf countries as migrant workers.
Yeah.
And I think some of these push and pull factors include, of course, lack of employment. Majorly, when you look at most of these people, they haven't gone to college. They at least have secondary education, but they haven't gotten a somewhere that they're a stable kind of way of getting money, or a wage for a salary. And I'm not trying to say that you have to have a university or a college degree or a diploma to get a good job. But even a business, you find that most of them, they're in the informal sector, or they're just the small scale traders. So the job is not very stable. They have very, very low wages, or even some of them are domestic workers, and even in our own country, and they're not paid. They're paid below the minimum wage. So when some of these agencies or agents or the brokers approach and they promise you 3 times of what you're earning, or maybe you don't even have a job, and you imagine going and working for 2 years, so you calculate and you're like, okay, yeah, I think I can try this. So one of the major things is to look for employment, of course, economic push. And another thing is that some of these people, they come from very marginalized communities. When you look at Mombasa and the environments, Kilifi, you find that education education of these girls is very minimal. And so anytime they feel like they can get an opportunity to have a better life, so they just go with the flow. So yeah, some of those people, they take advantage of that some of these girls are from poor families and vulnerable, so they end up just being very easily convinced. And of course, lack of information. When people don't have the information, then it's very easy to just be convinced by anyone, and they just leave the country. And so you find that so many people, they don't have information towards all these challenges that people undergo there. And of course, as human beings, people live by hope. As long as you know 1 or 2 people, or you don't even know anyone who has ever been there, but you're like, okay, yeah, let me just try. I mean, it's just work. Yeah, people take it as just work, but it turns out that it's not the same when you get there. Yeah, those are some of the push and pull factors that make people still go back. Yeah, and you find also that people want to provide for their families. You find maybe you're a breadwinner in your family, or you want a better life, for your family. You're your kid, you have a kid, you don't have, you're still not able to provide for your family, so you choose to just leave the country and go and work there. Yeah, I think those are majorly some of the push and pulls. After all these the experiences, the government, of course, acted some years back in 2014 when they started now monitoring, some of these agencies. There were so many, it was uncountable. There were thousands and thousands of agencies who are actually illegal, and so the government tried to limit by, first of all, saying that putting more other new measures, such that you had to register. You have to renew your license after 2 years. You have to have even the board of the people who are the board of directors, they have to have some kind of education. You have to register, and the people that you're taking there, or you are trying to link up with work, they have to be attested to pay some amount of money. A board, in a bank that it's supposed to be used for repatriation just in case of anything. Some of these measures were, they were new, and they came up in the quest to solve some of the challenges, because of course these people, they don't migrate on their own. It's a process. It starts from the brokers or the agencies, who of course link up with them on the other side with the other the agencies now in the Gulf countries, and then they have to get a passport. It's a process to to medical, all that by the time they travel. So yeah, the government tried to restrict agencies, so they became lesser than before, but still we are still handling problems because some of these people, they have brokers, agencies, they have brokers, and sometimes the agency might be following the instructions, but the broker, you don't know how, or how they found the potential, the prospective migrant. You don't know how they told them, they convinced them. So you still find that there are still people, briefcase agencies, who still don't have an office, which is one of the requirements that the government put in place. It has to have, an agency has to have a physical office and an address and all that for tracing. But you still find, when you talk to some of these returnees, you ask them who is the agent, and they still have no idea. They tell you that they don't even know where these they operate from. So we still have the problem of these briefcase agencies, also the brokers, who are still taking advantage of these women. And even with the efforts, I think there is still more to be done in terms of even monitoring some of these registered registered agencies. Yeah, because the problem has not yet been solved. We still have those challenges. So it only means that we need a lot of monitoring, and also to find a way to bridge the gap between our 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 process and the other side, because these are issues of two different countries, the origin and the destination. Now, if our own countries, we are not doing something, then how do we now expect the other side to even act more like better than us? So I think the government needs to still find a way to ease the process, and to govern it in a way that it protects these workers. Because think about it, all those experiences that I have had with these returnees, they talk about getting their passport within 5 days. They talk about this, and we all know that in the initial process, if you have traveled in another country, you all know that it at least 14 days. But these people, they always have a way of getting within 5 days, within a week, within 7 days, they are already traveling. They don't have time even to think about if they're going to change their mind or not. And even I was talking to someone who said that when she was trying to change her mind, the person refused with the passport. It's like once they get you, they convince you until the next day you find yourself at the airport. So who is preparing all these documents? These urgently, and so it means that they still it's still like a cartel, or like a very organized way of these people to have their way. So I think if the government did put more measures or monitor, it could help, because from the agencies to the migration departments to the airport, I think maybe this could be one of the ways of restricting. Yeah. Yeah, I think creating awareness and sensitization is one of the ways that you always, make people understand or give information to the public. And I think we have various ways of how we can reach the public. In the past, as a trade union, we have done the billboards. We have engaged some of those returnees in our campaign to come and talk about their experiences. we have involved the local chiefs, the local leaders, the qadhis, and the organization of these bishops and Muslims, sheikhs, the local government, including OCPD in Mombasa, the police and all those local leaders, some of the NGOs. But now this is basically in Mombasa because it was supported. It was supported by an NGO. So, but at the end of the day, I think that is one of the ways of creating awareness. But I also think social media is another way of creating awareness. These days, most of the people are using their Androids, or they can log in, creating awareness. For example, some of these agencies, they are online, but if you don't have a phone that you can access, if you don't have a way of accessing, you won't even know. But leave alone now the social media, which also include the radio messages, or even the television in terms of advertisement. Some of these ladies, some of these women, migrants, they are I would say that they're not very educated, and they live in the rural areas. So I think one of the ways would be to even incorporate some of this as part of the curriculum. I think, in the schools, they should be taught about migration. I think this should be a topic because it has been existing for long. I think this should be, either even going to the schools and high schools and institutions like colleges and universities. This is something that can reach many ways if done like that in those villages. I think also educating these leaders is very important. The chiefs, the barazas, the nyumba kumi, yeah, because you find when you're talking to these ladies, some of them, they are actually recruited by their relatives. It's their aunts and their cousins, and so they trust these people. Yeah, they trust people, but it's because they are not aware, and they trust these people without knowing what exactly they're getting from that. So I think it's everybody's responsibility. You cannot just say the government, but also the government has a mandate when they put new measures. They should not just be in the office, but they should be put out there. Also, institutions like trade unions and NGOs, like Send Us Home Kenya, just putting it out there, tweeting, using the social media. Now, the trade unions, I think they have a mandate to protect and to fight and to advocate for workers' rights. And migrant workers, whether prospective or currently working or returnees, they're still workers. And one of the ways is, of course, to create awareness. Trade unions, I think we have a mandate of creating awareness, reaching out to the communities and talking about workers' rights and defending workers' conditions, workers' good conditions of work. And so we also have trade unions also have a mandate to engage the government, of course, on behalf of the workers, to make sure that they can recognize the gap and try to bridge it by negotiations, like we do in the collective bargaining agreement with the employers. The same way we could talk about the issue of migration with involving the government. Yeah. And so in the past, trade unions and my trade union KUDHEIHA, we have of course involved some of the stakeholders who have supported, like Solidarity Center, in terms of migration issues. But this has been done only in Mombasa. So we cannot say that we have reached out to the whole communities, like, the whole country. We have not reached out to, like a majority of people. So it's basically some parts of the country. And of course, we are affiliated to the International Domestic Workers Federation, which also supports domestic workers and supports. They have supported the domestic workers who are local, but also we are trying to see how they can also help migrant domestic workers, because it's a new avenue that we are getting into. And yeah, so we have done campaigns. Some of the activities we have done campaigns. We have done billboards. We have done radio messages. We have also talked about it in the media in terms of appearing in the TV. Yeah, so we have started that in terms of creating sensitizing people. And also, when you come to the trade union, of course, if you're a prospective, you will still be guided. You'll still be guided. We have a toll-free line where someone can call and ask for guidance, or maybe you can come to the offices. We have 38 branches countrywide, so you can be advised where you can go for such a kind of information. So yeah, those are some of the services that we give in terms of the trade unions. But yeah, we are planning more and more activities to make sure that this issue can at least become better. It has been there, we have talked about it, but it's not improving. But we hope that in a few months or years, we will see a difference. Now, in terms of collaborating with other international organizations, for example, they made it happen where we signed last year, but one, we signed an MOU with Kuwait, for example. So these are some of the ways that they can chip in, and they can help us, find a better or a wider space in terms of migration issues. It's very difficult to actually start engaging maybe a country when maybe the government has not even engaged. Yeah, we have seen bilateral agreements being signed. Some of them, they are trade agreements. Some of them, these are bilateral agreements, but we have on the issues of migrants. But now we still see a gap. We still see things still not working. So it's still a gap between countries of destination and countries of origin in terms of organizational engagement. And you find that maybe we have, as we have a trade union dealing with migrant workers or domestic workers, and on their destination country, they don't have such kind of a trade union that deals with domestic workers. Or maybe the rules and the laws there, like in most Gulf countries where they are governed by the kafala system, you find that kafala is so its character and the structure of it does not include like such kind of collaboration. So you find it difficult or a challenge to even think about how you can engage the other party. So this kafala system has been there, which of course, when you look at it deeply, you see an underlying issue that is more than just a system, but also goes beyond even discrimination and the ratio issues. Because why is it that these are domestic workers, like we have our local domestic workers, how comes for them they have to find people from outside, and mostly from Africa and Philippines, and they cannot employ their own to have this kind of, yes, I understand there's cheap labor on our side, but cheap labor is always associated with very low jobs. And you find that this is what they poach. So kafala system for me, it's not something that, it's not a rule that has, good in it, any good in it. And I think to abolish that kind of a system would be first, it would be a very good step first, but it goes beyond now the rule, but also the attitude of these people to in terms of treating this person then without following the rule. If they already have that kind of a perception, the the making of this rule had something behind it. Yeah, by the time you come to make a rule like that, you have already a perception and you have a feeling and something about these kind of individuals. So it could be a good thing, abolishment. It could be a first step, but it goes beyond just that. And a lot of efforts have to be made to see Africans or Philippines or some of these people that they go to work there as equal human beings and not just as people who are supposed to work and overwork and do all these kinds and can be paid or not, like bought also, because I understand kafala system also, it's something that makes you feel like you have bought the other person. So you get this person, you basically buy this person through giving out this kind of money, and so you feel like you have all the freedom to make this person do whatever you want to do. So it goes beyond that. For me, I think it goes beyond that, because by the time you make these kind of rules, you already have a perception, you already have a feeling about these people. So it's a lot of work. Abolishment could be one step, but other steps also and other efforts need to be made so that you feel like these people are equal, and if you believe in human rights and equality, then definitely it's a picture that you can see that it has a lot of inequality in it. Countries like Lebanon and in so many Gulf countries, we find that workers are not supposed to, or even migrants specifically, are not supposed to unionize themselves. They're not supposed to join trade unions. They're not also supposed to group themselves or organize themselves. And it's one gap that also limits the protection of their rights. And when you look at International Labour Organization standards, we have 8 core standards, and one of them talks about organizing, the right to organization. And you find most of these countries, they have not ratified such kind of ILO standards, and it brings a gap whereby even when the monitoring of these standards in different countries is made, for them there's nothing to monitor because they have not ratified, and so it brings in a gap. And if you have not ratified ILO International Labour Organization convention, and you have not domesticated or even put in your national laws, then you find it very difficult to intervene or interfere with such kind of a country in terms of their laws. So you find that they limit the workers' rights by such kind of actions. You find that they don't take seriously in terms of even international labor standards, and if they don't even domesticate them in their own countries, then it becomes difficult for these workers to migrate. Then again, if they have kafala system does not allow this, does not allow such kind of organization. And so this is why, for example, in Lebanon, they had no other way. They had no other way than just to air, to air their grievances by organizing themselves and having that kind of a union, because even the office that is supposed to help them was not doing much and they were not seeing results. They deserved a lot of support from the government, and the population at large. And I think Centers Home Kenya is trying to bridge that that gap, and we hope that the population, the masses can come together and support Centers Home Kenya to make this happen, to make these migrant workers feel welcome at home, protect them and support them in any way that they can.